After years of U.S. propaganda about liberating Iranian women, the U.S. is now bombing women's dormitories at universities in Tehran. I guess their appetite was not satiated by bombing, 170 plus schoolgirls on the first day of this war, or bombing about 40 young women who were playing volleyball at a sports facility. They're also now bombing dormitories, women's dormitories in Tehran at major universities. Yeah, I can't tell you how many years I saw these stupid posts, these stupid protests about women, life, freedom in Iran, remove the hijab. And now they're just like bombing Iranian women carte blanche. For decades, we were all sold the lie that the U.S. was trying to undercut the Iranian regime because we care so much about Iranians. We care so much about Iranian women. We care so much about Iranian civilians. We care about the students, the kids. We care about the future of Iranian people, blah, 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 blah. This all, by the way, was like the Pahlavis Iranian diaspora, they all fell for this. I don't understand how, but they all fell for this notion that, like, if the U.S. waged a war against Iran, it would somehow or another guarantee that the people of Iran would be better off. This is after witnessing Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen. This is after witnessing all of that. This is after failure after failure of war, regime change operations all across the world for decades. And these Iranians in exile are still so stupid that they believed that a U.S. war against Iran would actually bring about some sort of positive circumstances for the Iranian people. These are people who still have family in Iran. In many cases, they still visit Iran. And this is the reality. Back to the Stone Age, they say. Back to the Stone. Does that sound like liberating Iran? Is that freeing Iran? What is this? You're talking about freeing Iran for decades and now send them to the Stone Age? Well, fortunately for the Iranians, they're not going to be getting sent back to the Stone Age. Who is getting sent back to the Stone Age? I wonder. Well, maybe someone is getting sent back to the Stone Age. I don't know. The U.S. sure is losing a lot of aircraft. I mean, that's kind of Stone Age, right? There was no planes. There was no F-15s in the Stone Age. There were no MQ-9 Reaper drones in the Stone Age. But look, to be honest, no one could have responded better to this than the Iranian embassy in South Africa. The South African embassies are also objectively the most based. The Russian embassy in South Africa is immensely based. Great people there. I love those guys and gals. Great people. And the Iranian embassy in South Africa, also hilarious. They responded with 216,000 likes. It's insane. They said, Stone Age. At a time when you were still in caves searching for fire, we were inscribing human rights on Cyrus cylinder. We endured the storm of Alexander and Mongol invasions and remain because Iran is not just a country. It's a civilization. Yeah, that's a mic drop. Don't even really need to say anything else in this story, but we shall continue. This is what the U.S. is doing in Iran right now. As they tell you all that you can't have free healthcare, you can't have daycare, you can't have, you have to be indebted for your entire life. Our government needs a $1.5 trillion military budget. This is where your money is going. Now, I only say this because CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and all of the mainstream media and Zionist, no one is going to show you this stuff. They are bombing bridges. They're bombing bridges that connects major cities together in Iran. Now, the craziest response I saw to this from the Zionist press, someone in the Zionist press who did acknowledge this, one of the warmongers in D.C. said, well, of course, yes, of course, we're bombing bridges because this bridge was being utilized by the IRGC to transfer military hardware across. This bridge wasn't even being used yet. This bridge was not even completed yet. You can see there's still massive cranes there that are building this bridge. The bridge was not completed, but the media in the U.S. is saying that it had to be targeted because the military was actively using it to transfer like heavy weaponry or something. It's insane. The bridge isn't even, it's not even safe to be driven on. Like, no one is driving on this. Also, they're hitting, they're hitting the command and control center of, what are these things called? Where they have like at the airports, air traffic control center. They're hitting the air traffic control center of airports now, civilian airports. This is what's going on in Iran. This is why you don't have healthcare. This is why you can't have free public universities. This is why we have 700,000 homeless Americans. This is why we can't do anything about the drug epidemic in our country. What else? What else could this money be used for? This money is being used in replace of free dental care, free eyesight, hearing, healthcare. This is being used instead of, repairing our infrastructure. And so instead of building new roads, new infrastructure in the U.S., new bridges. By the way, you remember 2 years ago, March 2024, an Indian cargo vessel ran into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland. You guys remember that, right? The Francis Scott Key Bridge. And it collapsed. That bridge hasn't even begun reconstruction yet. That bridge, the designs for that bridge are only 70% completed. 2 years later, a small-ass bridge in Maryland, they're only 70% done with the redesign, the architectural design of the bridge. As of right now, they said that bridge was expected to have a $1.2 billion price tag. Now they're saying it's going to have a total cost by the end of it all of over $5 billion. And it's not going to be completed until best case scenario 2030. But instead of using our money to do anything to actually fix America, we're bombing bridges that aren't even completed in Iran and lying and claiming that they're transporting military hardware. Meanwhile, in China, I was just in China, the world's largest bridge, the Huajiang Gorge Bridge in the Guizhou province of China, tallest bridge in the world, largest suspension bridge between mountains as well. That bridge, largest bridge in the world, that bridge costed $280 million. Francis Scott Key Bridge, it's going to take at least 6 years, $5 billion. World's largest bridge in China, it costed $280 million and took 3.5 years to build. By the way, 9 of the top 10 tallest bridges in the world are in China. Maybe we should, just maybe, we should actually focus on rebuilding America and improving America. Not just rebuilding it, but improving it and making it something beautiful and something that actually works for all its people. Also, after years of U.S. propaganda about liberating Iranian women, the U.S. is now bombing women's dormitories at universities in Tehran. I guess their appetite was not satiated by bombing, 170 plus schoolgirls on the first day of this war, or bombing about 40 young women who were playing volleyball at a sports facility. They're also now bombing dormitories, women's dormitories in Tehran at major universities. Yeah, I can't tell you how many years I saw these stupid posts, these stupid protests about women, life, freedom in Iran, remove the hijab. And now they're just like bombing Iranian women, carte blanche. The U.S. did a 7-tap strike on that bridge. They unalived at least 13 people and 95 were wounded thus far around the bridge as it was being struck. Freeing Iran by bombing bridges in elementary schools. Can't make this stuff up. Here's more videos of the women's dormitory that was hit at the university in Tehran. Is it beginning to clock with you all that we are the bad guys here? We are the bad guys. Photos show an Iranian mother bidding farewell to her child martyred in U.S. and Israeli strikes. It's just heartbreaking. The U.S. and Israel also today, they bombed a Persian music school in East Tehran. Trump has announced plans to replace it with the Alexis Wilkins Auto-Tune Academy after Iran is liberated. That Alexis Wilkins, the Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend, she has been losing her mind on Twitter. She's like writing these 20-page, she's not writing, it's all AI. She's posting these like 20 post thread AI montages about how there's like a Russian, Iranian, Chinese disinformation campaign, and myself and Michael Flynn apparently are leading it all up. I've literally never talked to Michael Flynn my entire life. I think one time he retweeted one of my videos and I said like, thank you. He retweeted my video, my interview I did with Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Ria Zaharova. But other than that, I've literally never talked to that guy. But the director of the FBI's girlfriend is tweeting some schizophrenic thread that apparently Michael Flynn and I are leading some like PSYOP campaign against her. It's literally insane. Also, today's strikes, the U.S. and Israel killed 18 women, including a pregnant mother. I did report on the stats of the amount of women they've killed thus far and pregnant women that they've killed thus far. I'm sure, these numbers need to be updated. I'm sure it's much more now. It's just never lose sight of the fact that they sold this war and this conflict for years by saying that we need to protect the women of Iran. Now, also, the U.S. and Israel are bombing pharmaceutical companies in Iran. The only global competitor to a Zionist company in producing the active ingredient for multiple sclerosis medication was attacked by Zionists under the pretext of chemical weapons production. Come on. The Pasteur Institute in Iran, a century-old global health pillar and part of the International Pasteur Network, was bombed by the U.S. and Israel since 1920. It has been a pioneer and major hub for vaccine production in the region. They're continuing. I mean, since the first days of the war, they've been bombing medical facilities, hospitals. A French TV journalist based currently in Tehran reports that the U.S. and Israeli targets in Iran included hospitals, 8 pharmaceutical factories, including a cancer drug facility, 60 pharmacies, and the Pasteur Institute in Tehran. And, look, by the way, right behind them, there's a group of students hanging out there. Everyone looks pretty chill. It looks like they're having a good time, just relaxing. Much unlike Israel, who's fleeing to the bunkers every 30 minutes. Now, here's where things get interesting and far worse. We have news today that Trump is now sticking to his guns, I guess, as of right now, at least, of this 48-hour warning. He said, our military, the greatest and most powerful anywhere in the world, hasn't even started destroying what's left in Iran. Bridges next, then electric power plants. New regime leadership knows what has to be done, and it has to be done fast. And he's talking about his 48-hour window in another statement. Israel is preparing strikes on Iranian energy facilities, awaiting Trump's approval. And if that happens, it's going to get very, very, very ugly for the Gulf states very quickly. So we will continue to follow that with watchful eyes. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.